Matt Hardy, welcome to the studio.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You look you're the best dressed in studio guest we've ever had.
Ever?
Ever had.
Ever?
Ever had.
Oh, well, thank you. That's a huge compliment.
You know, we're a radio station, so we always get, the bands and stuff in here who look like they haven't, showered in like weeks. So it's kind of nice to have the change of pace.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm getting a little older, and I figured I should dress up and try and be a very good, responsible company ambassador.
Well, with age comes wisdom, so there you go. Speaking of, I guess I'll just ask this now since you are at a radio station. What music are you listening to right now? Like, if you were going to get in your car, what would you be listening to?
Right now, I'd probably have some Kings of Leon, some Tool, and some Pearl Jam.
Did you get the new Tool album? Did Matt Hardy go physically buy the new Tool album?
I haven't physically bought it yet, just because I haven't had the opportunity to, but I have listened to it, and I'm digging it. It's very Toolish.
Oh, that's so amazing. Matt Hardy's a Tool fan. I'm a little geeked out right now. I'm a super Tool fan.
Yeah, no, I love Tool. I love A Perfect Circle, too.
I love APC.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about that this whole time?
For sure. Yeah.
For sure. I know we have to talk about Royal Rumble, and of course it's a big deal coming to Houston and to Minute Maid, where you were last night.
Yeah.
How fun was that?
It was a blast. Everyone over there with the Astros took great care of me. I had a good time. I was with Booker T throughout the first pitch.
We love Booker T.
I did some stuff with the mascot, and that venue is amazing, so beautiful. It's going to be a great time at the Royal Rumble.
You don't even need
venue.
to love baseball to actually have a good time at Minute Maid because there's so much going on and it's so well done. It looks like a big toy house. It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's beautiful. I mean, it really is. It's one of the most beautiful stadiums I've ever been in.
And I think we asked some questions, and I think in regards to Royal Rumble, the ring will be over second base. So for anybody listening to this, you can kind of get a visual because it's so big. You're like, how are they going to do that? And what's funny is, I've been to WrestleManias before where when you watch it on TV and to be there in person, it's so crazy. And Joe knows because Joe was with us at WrestleMania in New Orleans, but the ring is so tiny in person. You know what I mean? It looks so little, but it's yet the WWE does a really good job of making it so big. So even I'm stoked to see what they do to Minute Maid.
I am too. It's going to be. I'm also very excited and interested in how the set's going to look because I'm sure the set will be amazing. They have so much room to work with and so much room to play with. It's going to be cool.
Do you ever get a lot of say on, let's say you wanted to switch things up a little bit with anything involving you coming out to the ring? Do you have a lot of input, or is it all Vince and co that do it for you?
You're allowed to have input, and I think if you kind of have a track record of hitting some home runs in the past, you get a little more input. And I think the business is changing now. We're at a very strange state, but a very good state where it's like the guys are getting more input on their characters and their personas. So I think that's a very positive plus thing. So yes, I do have input. It's not always listened to, but I do have input.
Now, you mentioned change a little bit. It was SmackDown moving to Fox. NXT now will be on Wednesdays, which I think is very cool.
Yes.
Also going to those live events, watching NXT in person. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. What will your part be in any of this change? Can you say?
Well, right now, currently, I've been off television for a few weeks.
You've been off television, but will you have a part in any of this?
I will. I will be back on television very soon, probably after the transition to Fox happens. My brother was injured. We just won the tag team titles, and a couple weeks into that, he had to have knee surgery. So before I'm just not going to be thrown to TV. We're going to try and do it right when I go back out and I return to TV and have the right character and the right ideas. So I will be, and I'm not sure if I'll be on Raw or SmackDown. Because we're having another draft coming up in the future. But it's a very exciting time having a live show on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's
a pure
amazing.
Domination.
Yeah.
Now, somebody mentioned this, and I do agree with it. Your style in the ring in the future, would you ever consider being like a coach or a mentor to NXT?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that is much closer. That is much more of a nearby reality than actually wrestling a lot more years.
I think that'd be amazing.
A lot of more years.
Well, and what a lot of people don't realize, is when you watch NXT, who's behind it, besides Triple H, which we all know that, but just all the other wrestlers who have been part of it for so long that, you don't really see. I think it'd be amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think NXT, I think Triple H is very much on the pulse of what wrestling fans want in 2019.
Agreed.
And kudos to him. I really do congratulate him. I saw the show last night. It was a home run. And I think Triple H's influence with NXT, especially now being in a primetime spot on USA, I think it's going to change both Raw and SmackDown and the way things are done. And I think that's a good thing.
Do you kind of hope that wrestling goes back into this attitude era sort of situation? Maybe we get more blood splatter. Maybe it's a little more raunchy.
I mean, I still think there is room for edginess,
Yeah.
you know, but also too, we have to remember like society has changed and you have to mirror society in many ways. Like, you know, it's very important that men and women are looked at as equals now. And I think WWE is doing an amazing job of doing that. It's very important that everything's all inclusive. You know, inclusion is very important in this day and age.
Right.
But I think there is room for like having those edgy storylines where you're like, oh my God, this feels weird. Like, should I be watching this? You know, you just have to be smart with how you do it.
Yeah, and I know even being there with with our daughter, it's so funny. That's my favorite part of going to any match, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, is you hear the little kids throwing smack and they're cussing and screaming at the ring. We get a huge kick out of it. But I agree. Like, I would like a little more Raw, but then you got to kind of realize where we're at in the world today. So you got a good perspective on it. That's good.
And two, it's just WWE has become more mainstream than it's ever been. You know,
Yeah.
so that's very important. I mean, we have like a responsibility to like put out a product that is also still sophisticated to a degree. But I think if things are thought through and done in a very smart way, I think things can be a little more edgy.
Now, I was on Twitter, and I mean, the WWE fans, it's insane. And I love it because you get people
Right.
that have been watching it since the early 80s, and their kids are watching it. So I took it to Twitter to get some questions because I don't want to take away this moment from any fans who would be hearing it later. Mike Jones actually asked, so Jeff used to be in landscaping before wrestling was paying the bills. What did you used to do?
Before I was a full-time... Before I was a full-time wrestler, my very first job that I ever had, I worked at a car wash. And then I ended up raking and selling pond straw. And that was kind of like where I made my money when we were doing independent wrestling. And then on top of that, I taught myself how to sew. And I was sewing gear for like a lot of the people on the East Coast.
That's it. You taught yourself how to sew?
I did, yeah.
Did you make your own costumes in the video? Or your costumes? Did you make your own like in-ring outfit?
Yes, I made my own costumes. And
you should be doing that now.
Whenever you see all the tights Jeff and I wore back in the day, like we wore tights before we wore the kickwear pants, the baggy pants, and the tight shirts. Once we changed and got with Michael Hayes, I sewed all of those tights that you would see us wearing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great fact to know. Ice Gleski on Twitter, he says, did you have flashbacks driving past the Astrodome?
The Astrodome definitely holds a very special place in my heart. I mean, that WrestleMania 17 is, in my opinion, I think the best match of all the TLC matches we had, and it is truly one of the most iconic because it was at WrestleMania, and those are the matches that made us into the stars that we are today. And like, I wouldn't have the great life I had if we didn't have the opportunity to be involved in those matches. So yeah, I love going by the Astrodome. I love reminiscing.
Some of those ladder matches have me just sweating when I watch them online. It's insane. Have you ever been very fearful? Like, was there ever a moment on those ladders where you're like, why am I doing this? I'm going to die.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely moments where you're fearful or you're just worried that, oh my God, I hope this isn't the time, you know.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I mean, it's so ironically something that's very, I don't know if you guys saw when we returned at WrestleMania 33, but whenever we returned to WrestleMania 33, it was a big surprise. And it was very, in some ways, stressful, but also different and also cool because, like, we literally got to the building like a match before we were going to go out to the ring. You know, so it's not like we're doing the typical routine,
right?
You know, where you're stretching or you talk to the guys, you're kind of relaxed in the zone. It was intense. And then we sprint up to Gorilla and then we go out to the ring. And, like, we're just seeing this massive sea of humanity for the very first time. You know, and the act I'd been doing is Broken Matt Hardy Way. You know, everyone's going delete, and then fans are going, oh my God, it's really them! Oh my God, I can't believe it! Oh my, it's not supposed to be your Hardy Boys are back! You know, to see that legitimate surprise in people's faces, it was just intoxicating. I mean, it was a surreal moment in so many ways. But anyway, long story short, at the very end of that match, the ladder that was supposed to be there by the titles for me to get the titles down when we won the ladder match was supposed to be 2 feet taller. So I actually got to the top of that ladder, and I remember I was trying to balance, and I was up towards the tip of the top. It was towards the end of the match. There's so much stuff going on, and I'm trying to reach the title. And in my head, I'm going, if I fall and don't get these titles in our comeback moment, this is going to suck. Because it was a shorter ladder, and I'm like stretching for everything I am, you know, and it's just like, fortunately, I was able to get it and pull them down and hold them. But that's like one of those, sometimes you're just on that ladder, and you're about to either take a bump or a fall or do something, and here, it's me trying to get the titles to have the conclusion and complete the story of the Hardys returning to WWE. And I'm like, if I fall, I'm going to kill somebody for putting the wrong ladder in here.
It always makes me nervous when I see anybody trying to grab, even if it's like, Money in the Bank, when their hands are shaking and you see them trying to unlatch everything. It gives me stress, just that one little tiny moment, because you never know what's going to happen. I had another good question. Brock McRock on Twitter had a couple good ones. One is his daughter dressed up as the Ultimate Warrior for Halloween. When you were little, who did you idolize as a child?
The guy that really caught my attention first and foremost, even though I was a little older at this time, like he was 10, was Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Yes.
He was, to me, I think he was so appealing because not only did he have like this over the top character where he talked in the crazy voice, oh yeah, and he had the, elaborate opulent ring wear and the capes with all the crazy stuff on it, and then his finisher was a flying elbow drop off the top rope. So I think that was very attractive to me. It's like, this guy isn't just a boring wrestler, like he does some really cool stuff, and these guys looked like living, breathing superheroes, and I think that was the appeal that made myself and my brother want to do this.
That's what I love the most about watching. Well, I mean, obviously when you watch clips of the Macho Man, but even when I see you do all your little interviews, you never know what's going to come out of your mouth, and that's what we like when we watch.
Right.
We're like, what the hell is he talking about? I love it because you never know what's going to come out of your mouth.
Whenever I do Broken or Woken Matt Hardy, that is the most fun about that. It's like he can truly get away with anything. I tried to create this character where he can get away with anything and it'd be okay. And it was fun just to say stuff crazy or funny or super entertaining, and I can get away with it.
It's so weird. I was like, oh, he's getting weirder. I love it. It gives you a little eerie chill. Let's see. Another good question was there ever a moment in the ring when the crowd really shook you and you remember that moment? Like, was it good or bad, but a moment where they got you while you were in the ring?
That moment walking down at WrestleMania 33 is definitely one of the most touching moments I've had with a crowd, where I really connected on the same energy level with them. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
So when it comes to Royal Rumble, what number do you think you'll be?
I would guess I'm going to be 15.
Do you just come out like, I got to be a wrecking ball, and you just, wreak havoc?
It's survival. When you get in a Royal Rumble match, you have to be a survivalist.
Is there ever a moment where you want to play kind of dead just to let other people take each other out for a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes when you get so blown up, you definitely try to play dead.
We play the game. We have the WrestleMania game, right? We have all of them every year, and I'm always like, I'm just going to take a knee for a second and let everybody else knock each other out. That's my only experience I have, of course.
It's smart. It's not bad. It would apply to real lifetime, too.
Well, we look forward to all of this. I look forward to seeing you. I will be at the Royal... Joe, I know you'll be at the Royal Rumble. Minute Maid, it's going to be ginormous. Today, Thursday, is the last day of the pre-sale. The Buzz is a really good promo code for you to use, so you can get them before the general public. Then tickets go on sale Friday, and then it's going to be mad crazy from there. Sunday, January 26, 2020. Anything else, Matt Hardy, anything else you could shed light on for us?
Just excited to be coming back to Houston, excited for the Royal Rumble. It's one of my favorite shows. As far as being a fan, I loved watching the Royal Rumble. I love being in Royal Rumbles. And I must say to everybody in this area, it's going to be 50,000 strong. It's going to be a great show. Make sure to get your tickets as soon as possible before all the tickets are deleted.
That's amazing. Thank you very much.